The engines hummed as the doctor woke. His body flickered. The wind carried the tinge of battle, a smoke that sat in the doctor's soul. He sat up. New eyes peered across the battlefield of bodies and scrap metal. He kicked one of the long cables by his feet and watched the impact travel up to one of the several blocky machines standing around him. The world sang to the doctor. A sweet song of life began to spring out from the machines, each still alight with the doctor's regeneration energy. He couldn't tell if the wind whistled around him or his previous self gave one last cry out in the back of his mind. He brushed himself off. "I've had worse endings." The doctor paused. His hand hovered over his throat. "Hello?" Gone was the smooth bounce of his previous self, replaced with one ravaged by age. The doctor felt the ache of so many lifetimes crying out when he spoke. "Well, that's interesting."
Doctor, can you hear me down there?
He could. The doctor ignored the voice from above, looking instead to the battlefield once more. From beneath the machines, green crawled back to the land. It clawed its way at first, only to slowly crawl a carpet of living nature back onto the planet. A flicker of his regeneration twinkled around him in the heart of each machine. The doctor searched for a different glimmer. Swiftly, he rose to his feet before racing against the green to keep himself in the battlefield.
Doctor, our scans show you are still here. Is everything all right?
No, he muttered. The doctor swept across the battlefield, always staying ahead of the ever-expanding greenery. His tattered clothes began to flake away as he strode to a tiny glint on the horizon. He bounded across the mud. The doctor knew the glint. He knew what it belonged to. He hoped the owner lay nearby. Brian, can you... Here. His voice died away as he approached. A pocket watch sat amongst the rubble, the last life of a fire flickering beside it. It lay still ticking in Brian's hand. The doctor darted to their wrist. Nothing. Brian Martin's rested at last. Gone was the doctor they travelled with for most of Martin's life. The doctor eased the pocket watch from Brian's grasp before whispering goodbye to them. I'm sorry, Brian. As he looked up, he saw the machines once again, working their magic to transform the battlefield once more into a realm of peaceful nature. More importantly, the doctor saw just how far he'd been from Brian in their last moments. While the green came into view so vibrantly, the machines stood as quaint little boxes on the horizon.
Doctor, this is Captain...
I know who you are. I can hear you. The old anger crept back into the doctor's being. He remembered it. The doctor had changed so many times in their life, been so many people, but never escaped the fury that grew within them. Brian never saw him angry. The doctor made sure of that. He remained the showman that Brian needed to believe in to save the day.
What's wrong?
The words echoed around the doctor. For the first time, as the Time Lord followed the booming voice, he saw the devastation of the planet, the bodies torn apart around him. The petrification guns made sure blood rarely touched the already ruined ground, but the doctor still stood alone in a world beginning again. The doctor took a deep breath, pushing the anger back down. Captain Orville?
Doctor?
Could you please tell me you beamed off the survivors? The captain hesitated.
I'm afraid you're the only one.
That is always the way, the doctor muttered. Before the doctor could utter another word, the planet around him began to dissolve. Rubble gave way to the sheen of well-maintained metal. The musk of torn-up dirt fell away to the paradoxical mix of sweat and pristine fabrics. A silhouette came into view beyond the light of the teleportation beams. The A on their chests came to focus first. It was the same A insignia that shone on the walls and readouts. The curtain of light departed, revealing the tired eyes of Captain Orville.
Doctor?
They checked their wrist for a moment, picking up a dinging screen.
Biosigns confirm the regeneration process is settling, albeit slowly.
The doctor rubbed his hands. I've had worse. He looked around the room. The pair stood in quiet, without the methodical chaos an Alpha Core ship normally thrived on. A readout of the planet below watched the doctor for a moment before switching to a view of the surface as green began to flourish.
It worked!
Said Orville in relief. So the invasion...
Done! A whole new species sits in our negotiation room free of the genetic virus.
Brian is gone, the doctor muttered. Orville deflated. Despite their vast difference in circumstances, Orville and Brian remained siblings from different times, young humans thrust into a life beyond their imagination.
I'm so sorry.
Leave me out of the next one. I'm done with wars.
I understand.
Orville's wrist pinged.
The bridge is requesting a statement. Do you mind if I...
The doctor nodded. Orville approached the wall. They flicked a switch which cast their voice across the ship. The doctor closed his eyes as he listened.
This is Captain Orville of the Alpha ship Penance.
They paused, steeling themselves.
Today, we have ended a war. Today, we of Alpha Core can remember this day as a victory. Victory, however, is rarely simple. Today, we have lost souls in the pursuit of peace. As we stand over a planet breathing new life, let us not forget those who gave theirs to see it. We are Alpha Core, now and forever.
As Orville backed away from the wall, the muffled cheers from throughout the ship reverberated around them. Neither the doctor nor Orville could bring themselves to join in.
Where will you go now?
The captain asked. The doctor shrugged. I will probably give it some time before I travel. Make sure this body... His words died away. This doctor, stood for a moment. He held a finger up, hushing Orville before they could say a word. That body, that nonsense body the doctor had, it felt off. Orville tilted their head around the doctor's finger.
What's wrong?
He shook it off. At the moment, nothing. I'm sure it's just some post-regeneration quirk. Out of curiosity, how many people on this ship know about the regeneration?
Just you and I.
The doctor gave an old smile. Good to know.
Got a plan?
Asked Orville nervously. No, just a focus. The doctor hopped off the teleport pad. I'm going to talk with the crew. They've been through a lot.
A lot. And then more on top of that.
Exactly. The war is over, but people are forever.